Finally, I get to post another conspiracy theory that's not solely centered around the Epstein files. God, that junk was getting annoying. But they still need to put all them people in prison, though. And y'all know who we talking about.
They killed the giant, and then they airlifted him out by helicopter to Bagram Airfield. And this is where our pilot picks up the story, and he's there to load the body. And so they had to weigh the cargo to put it on the airplane. And the loadmaster weighed it at 1,500 pounds, subtracting the pallet, the air cargo pallet. They knew that the body weighed exactly 1,100 pounds, or approximately, I should say, 1,100 pounds. But they knew that was the weight because that was the weight that was being loaded onto the C-130. 1,100 pounds. So 12 foot tall, 1,100 pounds.
Monster.
And 6 fingers, 6 toes. And then the pilot, after they loaded the cargo, he had to take it to Qatar and unload it in Qatar. And then he told me he heard through the grapevine that the giant, the dead giant, ultimately made its way to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Now, he didn't know for sure, but that's what he heard.
Listen to this story. I'm over here thinking 1,100 pounds, that's not that heavy. Hell, I mean, even the 1,500 pounds, I thought the same thing. I'm like, that's not that heavy for the height that I thought they were going to allege this giant to be. But when they said around 12 feet, I was like, okay, that's more reasonable. For 1,100 pounds, I can see that because, hell, you got obese people that be 5'8", they ain't going to get over 600 pounds. For a giant to be 12 feet tall, 1,100 pounds, I wonder what was the physique of the giant. Was the giant overset? Like, was he a heavy giant, or was he like regular build for a giant? And what was the demeanor of the giant? Was the giant like normal, like friendly, like a regular human being, or was he almost like monstrous, like they kind of alleged in this video? Ah, man, I want to know.
I'm a conspiracy theorist, but you don't have to be one. I'm a conspiracy theorist, but you don't have to be one to find this timeline interesting. In 2019, 5G networks started rolling out around the world, and shortly after, the very first cases of COVID started to appear. Now go back a little further. In 2009, 4G rolls out, and that's when the swine flu pandemic hits. In 1998, 3G technology starts spreading, and so does the avian flu. In 1991, 2G networks begin, and so does a major cholera outbreak. Go all the way back to the 70s when 1G starts appearing, and so does the Russian flu scare. Now around 1920, radio technology begins to spread across the world, right around the time of the Spanish flu pandemic. Now,
So basically, damn, this shit, I can't hear nothing. Hold on. All right, noise canceling off. So basically, those of us who have survived all of these dang on different outbreaks and pandemics, because why not call them that, since they know that since the freaking 1, 2, 3 all the way to 5G towers is causing this stuff, because they have to know that there's a correlation between the two. So basically, all of us that survived this stuff are like superior, right? That's what that means, right? Like if we're here today and we were around during any of these, from the 90s to now, 70s to now, then we're special. I mean, yeah, we're elite. That's what I'm gonna say. I didn't get none of that stuff except for the Rona. I did get that one because the 5G, that's strong, ain't it? That's what makes sense.
I'm not saying one is caused by the other, but when you line up the timelines, it makes you pause for a second. But what do I know? I'm just a conspiracy theorist. Let me know what you think.
I always wonder, is she ever gonna drink that whole entire glass of milk? Because that's a lot of milk. And most people are lactose tolerant. The farting comes after the drinking a glass of the milk. That's a good amount of milk. Or maybe she got little hands. Regardless, I feel like she don't be drinking it. Like she just take a sip, maybe not even take a sip, because we didn't even see her take a sip. We saw her put it up to her lip, but she didn't take a sip. And then she pour it back in the jug or the carton, which is unsanitary. She had to live by herself to do that one, or have a carton with her own name on it.
Let me know what you think.
Candace Owens just connected Erica Kirk to Jeffrey Epstein, allegedly. In 2015, Erica begins tweeting about being a casting recruiter in LA. And then between 2015 and 2017, she's confirmed with multiple people who worked at Next Model Management, multiple people. that Erica is seen taking multiple meetings at Next Model Agency. And if you know, and if you've been following the Epstein files, this is one of the agencies where there were a lot of girls, you know, beeped through, okay? Traffic? All right. Allegedly. So if you've already been following me, you know I covered Faith Gates a while back, but let me just refresh you with what Candace is saying. So she says Jeffrey Epstein is a regular at Next Model's management offices as he is extremely close with the founder, Faith Gates. She will eventually be forced to step down because of the scandal. Candace says she believes that Erica knew Trump as well as Epstein well before she knew Charlie Kirk. This is huge. So the connection could be not just through the pageants that Trump was running, but also through modeling agency that Epstein was using to traffic women. So there's lots of connections here. And Candace calls it a lot of synergy between Epstein and Erica Kirk. So between 2015 and 2017, Erica is seen taking multiple meetings at Next Model Management with Faith Gates business guys. In particular, this modeling company procured a lot of Eastern European models. Romania, anybody? And it's unclear why Erica was involved with the modeling agency at all. Candace goes on to say that she, of course, went out to Erica Kirk for comment. And she's given her about 48 hours, and all she has received is crickets, silence, no comment. And if you guys have been following me, you know that I've made a possible connection between Erica Kirk's Turning Point network, Turning Point Action, and Epstein's former Zorro Ranch, which is now called San Rafael Ranch, and owned by Duff Huffins, whose son is on Trump's cabinet, and Turning Point Action has endorsed him. Do you guys think I should email Candace about this other possible Erica Kirk connection? Allegedly, in my opinion, possibly.
The young man that's on Donald Trump's cabinet that now owns Jeffrey Epstein's ranch out in Mexico or New Mexico, wherever the hell it was, did he have to pay for it? Or did they just hand it to him? Did Jeffrey pay it off? Look, these are not the questions that y'all thought I would be asking right now, but that's just where my mind went. Because the only thing I really got to say about Erica Kirk is she probably is what we all think her to be, is a plant. Planted by the government, CIA, military, whomever care to use her for whatever agenda that they're trying to push forward. They probably saw Charlie Kirk being a problem early on and used her to set him up for assassination. Remember, these are just theories.
What I'm about to tell you will blow your mind. Huffines and his wife are the new owners of Epstein's Zorro Ranch via a shell company. Epstein's ranch is owned by a man who funds newborn heart cell harvesting. Huffines is CEO of Hest, which invests in Secretome Therapeutics, which takes cells harvested from the hearts of newborns under 30 days old for the treatment of cardiovascular disease. I repeat, newborns. The new owner of Zorro Ranch is funding this developing therapy. Here's Huffines with Steve Bannon, who is also in the Epstein files extensively. Huffines' son is on Trump's cabinet. There are only 3 scientists in the whole world who specialize in this research, and one of them, Eric Olson, appears twice in the Epstein files. Candace has recently connected Erica Kirk and Epstein via Next Modeling Agency, allegedly. If you've been following, I've done a deep dive as well. Turning Point Action has recently endorsed him in his campaign for Texas Comptroller. So is this another connection between Erica Kirk and Epstein? If you know anything about Zorro Ranch, you know that there have been very disturbing allegations. I have an entire Epstein series on it. Epstein told a fellow eugenist that he hoped to freeze his brain and his little manhood down there at death so that his organs could be revived for future transhumanism. If you've been following me, you also know that I found out that the Huffines allege that they're going to put a Christian retreat on their new ranch. Elisa Valdez says that the only reason that they even said that they're trying to build a Christian retreat is because they got caught digging illegally without permits, allegedly. So they purchased it in 2023 and tried to hide their names in a shell company. But then Clara Bates, a reporter, she found out their identity and revealed it. And at that point is when they said, oh, we're just doing a Christian retreat. That's why we're digging. But Elisa Valdez says that she tried to find paperwork on that, and there's no paper trail showing that they are making this Christian retreat. When I found out that Turning Point Action had endorsed Huffines, I made a post about it, and many of you guys said that I should email Candace Owens, and many of you tagged her, so thank you for that. For this post, please tag any major content creators that you know who are covering Epstein. I believe that this deserves attention and further investigation. By no means am I alleging anything illegal or unethical. If you can, please take the time to read Elisa Valdez Rodriguez, her write-up. She did a 4-part series and it goes way deeper than I did. So check it out. Everything in this post is alleged and in my opinion, in her opinion.
Today I paid out 2 of my subscribers $100 each for playing games on their phone and winning free cash. And I got another $100 bill that's burning in my pocket that I'm looking to pay to one of you all. Just scan the QR code on my screen or hit the link down in the description box below and you can play video games and win free cash. And for the next person that can send me a screenshot of them earning $100 or more playing the games using my links, I'm going to send you $100. But you gotta show me the screenshot of you depositing the funds in your account. And by the end of this month, I'm gonna pay out another $100 to 3 more of you guys. So y'all got plenty of opportunities to start playing now and winning free money. Just click the link down in the description box or scan the QR code on the screen and get started today. Now, back to the video.
Beat Candace Owens to it. So over the weekend, Erica Kirk was just given a position with the U.S. military in leadership that will help oversee one of the most elite military academies in the country. So the obvious question is, why Erica Kirk? Why now? And why is somebody with 0 military background suddenly in an important leadership role connected to the oversight of future U.S. military leadership? Because the timing is strange. This just happened right as geopolitical tensions are rising. We're seeing more and more discussions about military readiness. They're suddenly reappearing in the national conversation, and the political rhetoric around the conflict is escalating almost daily. And at the same time, Donald Trump is facing growing political pressure while the United States and its allies are staring down a rapidly escalating situation involving Iran. And that context matters. Appointments inside structures connected to the U.S. military don't happen overnight, and they certainly don't tend to appear quietly during moments of very intense geopolitical tension. Decisions about who sits inside institutions that shape future military leadership are normally very deliberate and highly visible, which is why this one immediately raises eyebrows. And we only noticed it because we have Erica Kirk alerts set up, and this was covered in a small outlet in Colorado. They picked up the story before any national press did. It barely registered anywhere else, not even on Twitter. But once you look at the role Erica Kirk has been placed into, and once you start connecting it to everything else happening right now, the situation becomes really interesting. And about war, political promises, and institutions that shape the next generation of military leadership are a big deal. Because if you just rewind just a few months from the central message from Donald Trump and now JD Vance during their campaign, that they were going to market with messaging that America needed to avoid being dragged into another major conflict. They repeatedly warned that the country was heading straight towards new wars and argued that ordinary Americans would end up paying the price. One of the most emotionally powerful lines in that campaign was the idea that voters were choosing between endless foreign wars with Kamala and a government that would keep the country out of them. That message resonated with a lot of voters. Fast forward to today, and the tone of that conversation looks super different. We have now tensions involving Iran, which have escalated rapidly. Analysts are now openly debating how far the situation could spiral, and suddenly Washington is talking about military readiness, again, in a way that we haven't heard in years, in my lifetime. And then the draft conversation started resurfacing. The United States hasn't had to use conscription in decades, but the moment the word draft even enters a conversation...
Do y'all believe that she's a plant now? I mean, I wonder what Candace Owens thinks about this.
In today's episode of Everybody Grieves Differently, and by the way, I should say we are in like season 17, episode 4. You know, the writers are running out of ideas and they're just putting up things that don't even make sense anymore.
My name is Skylar White, yo.
Are you stupid?
My husband is Walter White, yo.
Get out!
Yeah, well, on today's episode, President Trump has appointed Erica Kirk to the Air Force Academy's Board of Visitors. Now, if you would like to know how that further empowers this world-renowned widow who is definitely grieving, I will explain that to you. Is she qualified? Of course not. Not even a little bit. Doesn't even matter. Yeah. Yeah. I'm here for it. I love it. That's what you need to know on this Tuesday morning. So you get back to work, Goyam. You'll be lucky if you ever pay off those student loans, pay down that mortgage. Erica Kirk, on the other hand, well, she's just being handed promotions. in case you missed it, her husband died. So now she will be advising the Department of Defense. I don't know. With this appointment, Erica joins just 15 other members. That's how exclusive this board is. There's just 15 other members, and they are responsible, just so you understand what the job requires. They're responsible for making recommendations to the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, regarding changes to the Air Force Academy. They're also tasked with providing an annual report regarding the Military Institute's morale, its finances, its financial state, and its academics. Now, you might be wondering right now, how on earth is Erica Kirk? How did she really just graduate from an apparent stay-at-home mother to suddenly being qualified to submit financial, academic, and military morale reports to the Defense Secretary of the United States? And if you're wondering that, you should know that you're everybody. We are all wondering this, but I don't know, guys. Her husband died. That's what I'm told. We are just constantly being reminded that her husband died. Therefore, hey, she could be president one day.
This makes no sense.
That's what Charlie said, allegedly. There's no, obviously we can't see where he said it, but he did say it. He just happened to say that she's going to be president one day. And some would say that maybe it's starting to look like a Claire Underwood from House of Cards situation. Maybe we don't feel so great about her ambition in this moment. But those people, you should dispel what they're saying. They would be wrong, because the experts have explained things very clearly. And the experts say Erica is qualified because Charlie was qualified. She's literally just taking his place. Anything he can do, she can do better.
But she's not just taking Charlie's place, because last time I checked, Charlie wasn't getting these sort of promotions. Charlie wasn't bumping heads and making these sort of connections. If anything, Charlie was starting to go against these institutions, because he was beginning to see them for who and what they really were. It's really starting to feel like these people are just characters in a movie, and we're the audience sitting back watching this whole thing unfold, and we don't really know what's going to happen next. This is definitely one of those movies that was not written very well, and the casting is horrible. They need to hire new actors. But going back to that initial video with that woman that broke the story before Candace did, when she mentioned that part about American citizens having to pay the price for the war that we're fighting, but not knowing the real reason why. Oil. I feel like whenever U.S. is short on the oil supply, that's when they go into these other countries and try to take over, alleging that the real reason that they're there is because they're trying to take down the dictatorship and to make these countries better.
Princess Diana, before she died, he said these people are actually reptilians.
Yes.
She said they're from some Dranconian star system or some crazy shit.
And then they crash her.
Yeah, then they crash her out. When a human being eats another human being, it causes brain damage. When that happens, it's like, okay, how much can you actually do that before you actually, it's to the detriment of your, yeah, exactly. So for these people to do that for this extended period of time, it's like, maybe you're not human.
Yeah. Rothschild has been around hundreds of years. I think that they have the blood of some extraterrestrial that from the very start.
You think they're like hybrids?
Kind of, yes.
Some type of lineage or something that makes sense to where it's connected to them.
The Rothschilds, man. That the name alone just sounds like a group of vampires to me. I don't know. But if it's true what they say, that overconsumption of human meat can cause all type of sicknesses, including brain damage, then it would make perfect sense that these people aren't actually people, but lizards or some sort of non-humanoid.
So you go, and we were with 20 other strangers, and you all line up at like the edge of the rainforest over this weird fence, and you go 3 by 3 and you drink lemongrass tea until you, like, by not your own volition, just vomit everything out of your body. So you
have to vomit. There's no way around that part.
You can't get out of it, and you have to vomit a certain amount before they let you get back with everybody. So you're like cheering on everyone as they like throw up. And as like what we do, obviously, we were like, I don't know, am I ready to just like throw up in front of all of these people? But it's such a good bonding experience. And I know it sounds crazy, but that gets you ready to then go into the ceremony that night, because you're like, my vanity is gone. I've just done this in front of all of these strangers, and like now I'm ready to like really open up. So we did it for 3 nights. It was incredibly intense. Everybody's journey is different. The second night, I went to hell for eternity. Yeah.
Is she saying that in the hypothetical sense? Like she took some sort of drug, almost like DMT, and it made her go to hell? Or like it made her go to a place in her mind where she felt like she was in hell for eternity? No, she didn't say it like that. It sounded more literal, like she actually went to hell for eternity. Wow. I can only imagine that statement would imply that her soul is destined to spend the rest of eternity in hell. How they be signing up for this shit? Oh shit! Yo, that scared the mess out of me, man. That little boy dropping down to his knees and crawling back behind what I'm assuming was his mother was very telling. It was almost as if he was so uncomfortable being in the presence of, I'm assuming was the queen, that he had to remove himself from that situation. And then the horse doing the same sort of thing. It almost sounds silly to say that both children and animals will be more susceptible to things that we are less susceptible to, like these people being potential lizards. But if it's true that they're contaminating our food with all these different chemicals that are keeping us suppressed, keeping us dumb, keeping us unable to tap into our true power and senses, then is it that difficult to believe that they have us adults right where they want us?
Give it 20 years from now, there's going to be unclassified documents, the same way they did with the brain gate theory, showing that we can have telekinesis and we can hemi-sync our brains, we can see through walls, and now with CIA declassified documents proving these things. It's going to be the same thing on that, on how so-called, give it 20 years from now, there's going to be unclassified documents, the same way they did with the brain gate theory, showing that we can have telekinesis and we can hemi-sync our brains, we can see through walls, and now with CIA declassified documents proving these things. It's going to be the same thing on that, on how so-called African Americans or melanated beings in the world have supernatural powers that they have been suppressing through pharmaceutical companies, through GMO foods, through foods that are very, very ultra processed, through contaminated fluoride poisoned water, through candies that have hyperactive sugar molecules in it. There is a reason why they keeping us doped and drugged up, because it suppresses our genes and it suppresses our cells and it suppresses our ability to be like gods. We are made after its image and after its likeness, so that means we possess the very unique abilities and powers that our creator possessed, and they figured it out before. I'm not going to even say they figured it out before us. They came and suppressed our ancestors, and then they taught us a different education to make us believe that we were human beings, and we not. And biology tell us that.
Of course, a pro-black man as he is will relay all that information as if it's unique to the black community, but it's not. We've seen countless stories with people of all nationalities, literally all nationalities, that possess some unhuman-like traits and powers, things that the average person wouldn't deem imaginable. To think, if they're putting these chemicals in our food to suppress our abilities and powers, it's not just affecting the black community, but everyone who consumes the food. Hell, I recently heard that fluoride in the water affects the pineal gland in your brain.
You know about how like birth control's in all water now? I didn't know that. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that's poisoning us that we should be like really concerned about right now. There's birth control in the water. Yeah. One, Alex Jones was right about the atrazine and what it does to frogs.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Two, there's a bunch of other stuff that's probably androgenizing us that's not good. You know, women take hormonal birth control. They then, urinate, that goes into the water system. A lot of cities recycle their water, but we don't have any specific filtration mechanism for those hormones. So they just get recycled and pumped back into the municipal water supply.
So is this like a significant amount of birth control in the water?
Yes.
And there's an infertility problem?
Yes.
How does it affect males, do you know?
It makes you more asexual. Yeah, so it makes you less of a guy and more of a sort of, I don't know, like the way that most guys are now.
The way that most guys are now. Yeah. I've heard there's so many conspiracies about the chemtrails, and I've heard that they're spraying estrogen in the air to...
Well, let me tell you something, though.
Oh, shit. Here we go.
So the material that we use, it freezes the liquid in cloud into snowflakes that fall, right? Pure testosterone. It's not as effective, but it's almost as effective as silver iodide. So if we really want to make America healthy again...
No! He was about to tell us how to make America great again. By making Americans healthy again, man. Like, what was he about to say? Now I gotta go freaking watch that whole podcast episode, because that was some good information. Alex Jones said that about the frogs being gay. I knew he was telling the truth.
The red are the executives that are Jewish at these companies. If you go to Apple right now, go to Apple Music. Let's load up the top 10 songs. I guarantee you they're promoting black serial killing. Absolutely. Not just one. They're promoting black. The red media is making money off of blacks being serial killers to each other. Also misogynistic. The red media is making money off of that. And God sees it. But I understand, and I'm not judging, because the oppressed becomes the oppressor. And it is our time now. Blacks are coming into money. We are not scared anymore. And I showed you.
You hear how sane Kanye really sounds when he makes these statements that sound outlandish. I've literally seen artists come out and state publicly that they're paid to make music about crime amongst black people. And then the youth hears it, and then what do? They get out there in the streets, they get into the drug selling game, they commit crimes and acts of violence because they think that that's what they have to do in order to become successful. And these media companies know this. They know what they're promoting. But the black community hurting one another makes a Jewish man very rich. Ain't that something?
I bet you didn't know this. Watch this to the end.
I'm reading Tiny Hats Selling the Slaves. Oh yeah, they forgot to mention all of this in the Rockefeller schools. And people say that's not true. Well, you should read this one. This guy was a rabbi who wrote this one. And you know the term layaway? That came from when rabbis were selling slaves. Yes. And this has pages and pages of all the auctions and the rabbis selling the slaves. Check this, Jacob Cohen, okay, owned a plantation. Yes, all the plantations were ran by the Tiny Hats. 294 enslaved Africans. He was the president of the synagogue. You can just look this stuff up. And what got even deeper is I found Charleston, 1825. That was the original place of the slave marts. And they own the merchants, they own the ships, they own everything. And look at this, Charleston, Tiny Hat, slave traders. Now, since the Tiny Hats own all the newspapers, if they tried to run away, they put an ad up trying to get the slaves back. Then it got deeper when I found out that the Tiny Hats own the police too. So if people tried to run away, they owned both sides. And it's wild because there was only 2 people who actually spoke up about this. That's why it's hidden from you. And also when Christopher Columbus came over here, now you understand who Christopher Columbus was. And this is why the Tiny Hats, the Charzarians, have been kicked out of all these countries. Now you start to understand. So
I'm going to see if I can find that book. I want to read that. That is some history for you. That right there is why history was rewritten in the school curriculums, because the stuff that they was telling us was far from the truth.
I was in the LA.
It'd be crazy to not think that these people with all this wealth and all this money would not at some point in time think, you know what, let's build a tunnel underneath the house. And you know what, let's connect it to the neighboring homes. Hell, after all, with everything that's going on in the world right now, I think folks are buying up bunkers left and right, at least the ones that have the money. Before, it was a conspiracy theory that these wealthy people, these billionaires and multimillionaires had bunkers. But now it's like, oh, well, shit, they done found us out now, so we might as well just let it be known.
While the United States government is saying that we are now on a path to deploying American troops on the ground in Iran, elites are buying bunkers. That's right, bunker sales have surged tenfold, and the CEO of Atlas Survival Shelters said that 2 senior Trump cabinet members are recent buyers of these shelters. These bunkers are equipped with LED screens that can give the illusion of skylights while being underground. State-of-the-art air quality systems, of course, food and water storage, hidden entrances and exits to avoid unnecessary attention, and even escape tunnels. Just for this one company, sales are expected to hit 50 million next month, with models ranging from 20,000 up to luxury models that cost $5 million. But the question is, if there's nuclear fallout and all of our nature is destroyed, who wants to live underground anyways? And what about the people above ground that survive?
What do you think we're going to do to you after you come out of your bunker? What do you think we're going to teach our kids about the bunker people?
As always, I want to hear what you think about all of this down below.
I'll tell you exactly what I think. I'm gonna catch one of them, the millionaire bunker mofos. Not one that got the little $20,000 bunker. I want one of them high end luxury bunkers. I'm gonna catch them slipping, and then when I do, I'm gonna move right in. Watch. Watch me. They got guns in there. So do I. Look, I know that didn't sound very ethical, but when the world is coming to an end and you got to do what you got to do to survive, it's every man for himself.
I also think that as a Jewish person, like, I was fed a huge amount of lies about Israel my entire life. You know, they never tell you that. Oh, by the way, there were people there. They make it seem like it was just like they're sitting there. It was like the doors open.
Hours for the taking.
Like, it literally, they forget to include the fact to every young Jewish person, basically, like, oh, by the way, there were people there. I'm afraid of Jews. I'm 100% afraid of Jews. Oh, yeah. That's it. It would be nice to live somewhere that was not a part of the Christian apocalyptic prophecy. It is also probably a good idea. It's like, maybe settle somewhere that, you know, the Christians don't think you all have to die in order for the
and then they want us all to go there. They need a certain number.
They need us to go there so we can die. So the apocalypse.
But that, could you imagine living in Israel? Would you ever go?
They need us to go there so we can die, so the apocalypse can happen. When a Jewish person comes out and tell you that they're afraid of Jewish people, there's something to be said there.
Die, so the apocalypse.
But that, could you imagine living in Israel? Would you ever go live in Israel?
No, it would be.
I'm the same way, and we're going to piss off a bunch of Jews. It's like, you know, for some reason, my mother, who's not religious or whatever, but her generation, they were kind of hung up on Israel, and they find some comfort in it. And I've been there, and I'm like, I couldn't imagine living here.
No, there are nice parts, and I think I could imagine, at best you are convincing yourself that you are far enough away from a major conflict to not worry about it, right? Which is like a terrible thing to convince yourself of. And like, I don't understand. To me, it just seems very like an antiquated thought process. Like, if it is for religious reasons, I don't agree with it because I think religion is silly. If it is for truly the preservation of Jewish people, it makes no sense because, again, you don't keep something you're trying to preserve all in one place, especially when that place has proven to be
volatile,
pretty volatile. You know, I'm trying to keep all these things safe. I'm going to put them in my blender and hope that that's the best place that'll do it. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
They just want to make sure that you are frightened of your own survival to the point where when you get old enough, you will make sure that that money goes to Israel and that trees are planted and that you always speak highly of Israel and Israel must survive no matter what.
Sounds like their whole idea is less about the people of Israel and more about how what they do benefits Israel.
This guy on YouTube basically predicted everything that's happening right now in Iran, and what he says happens after Iran is wild. So get this. Before any of this started, he said that Trump would win the election in 2024.
First is that Trump will win in November.
Okay, maybe that one's kind of easy, but then he basically predicted that J.D. Vance would be vice president.
I often think that there's a very good chance he picks J.D. Vance as well, okay?
And then he predicted that America would invade Iran.
The United States will go to war against Iran.
Okay, and now this one is kind of crazy because he predicts basically word for word how Trump will justify the war in Iran in his State of the Union speech.
Well, let's pretend that it's March 2027, and Trump goes on TV and explains to the American public why the United States is fighting this war. Okay, and this is what Trump says. For the past year, there have been violent protests in Iran.
Iran is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror and just recently killed tens of thousands of its own citizens on the street as they protested.
Iran has been working very, very hard on developing a nuclear bomb.
It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon.
Bro is basically using history to predict the future, and what he says happens next, a ground invasion in Iran, and then World War III.
Hell, I mean, he was spot on with all of his predictions. There probably will be a ground invasion, and then here goes World War III. These people are buying these bunkers for a reason. They know what's coming. Lord have mercy. God protect us all.
So now that you know the conspiracy theorists are right about basically everything, here are some other facts that you need to accept. Dinosaurs are not real, but dragons are. Our sky is being sprayed with poison and nanobots. Climate change is not real, at least not in the way they tell you it is. They're just using it to limit your travel, tax you more, and sell you new products like electric vehicles. Fluoride is calcifying your pineal gland to disconnect you from the divine power within you. Cathedrals and other architectural wonders were not just buildings, they were part of a grid for free energy. Israel did 9/11. Bill Gates created ticks that can make you allergic to red meat. Viruses have never been proven in a lab. They're basically a boogeyman. All vaccines cause rates of illness to skyrocket. Yes, Susan, even the polio one. Government is just organized crime with a fancy name. The World Economic Forum talks about depopulating the earth. These are the people making decisions for your health. Hospitals literally kill people to harvest their organs and sell them on the black market. The Air Force has direct energy weapons, and they use them to create natural disasters so then they can take the land for dirt cheap. They also use geoengineering to create and control large storms for the same purpose. Modern farming is destroying the soil and leaving our food with little to no nutrients. If you go to most grocery stores, by the time your food makes it to the table, it has zero nutritional value. Either buy local or buy frozen. Seed oils cause heart problems, not butter and healthy fats. The runoff water from the chemical they use in nonstick pans causes birth defects and poisoned an entire community that lived near a DuPont facility. Watch the Devil We Know documentary. This is what you're cooking your food in. The government can use frequency manipulation to alter your brain waves. 5G and 6G were not created for faster phone service. People who live closer to electrical facilities and 5G towers have a higher likelihood of cancer. They're poisoning your food, air, water, and personal products because they want you to be gay and retarded. Conspiracy theorists don't tell you these things to make you depressed and nihilistic. We tell you so that you can make empowered decisions for yourself and your family. We don't get out of this mess by putting our fucking heads in the sand.
I agree, and I believe every single thing she said, with the exception of the whole dinosaurs dragon one. I don't know. That kind of makes some sense. You know, they put those skeletal remains together to form what's supposed to look like a dang on T-Rex, but what if it was actually a dragon? But other than that, I believe every last one of them. Everything she said, I believe it wholeheartedly.
Yo, what the hell is going on with these so-called celebrities and their situation with aging, y'all? It's like as soon as Ellen stopped her show, y'all, like she literally aged about 10, 15 years. People are confused as to why she's looking a little less like Ellen and a little bit more like Elroy. What what is going on in Hollywood? How do you go from shining on television every single day to looking like you aged decades in just 2 years? So this picture over here is what Ellen DeGeneres looked like in 2023. That's 2 years ago, y'all. What is going on, y'all? She's looking like George Bush. Am I not lying, y'all? She looks like George Bush in the face. George Bush or Ellen DeGeneres. Now, here's the controversy about why Ellen came up. Because the fact of the matter is, there was this young kid that came on her show several times, right? And then she basically told the young boy that the boy was her boyfriend. And the young kid, you know how kids are very impressionable. The young kid actually agreed that Ellen was his girlfriend. But y'all don't find that suspicious? You guys know how Hollywood does these things, you know, pedophilia and all that type of stuff. Y'all don't find that suspicious? But because it's Ellen, everybody ate it up. Everybody loves it. But something must be going on overseas in England to cause Ellen to age like this. I mean, look at this, y'all. What is going on over here? Now, don't forget, Ellen is one of the many people that you see that partake in rituals using young children in order to keep looking young like this, y'all. So somehow, somewhere, I don't think they're getting their needs met anymore. Because Ellen DeGeneres is not the only celebrity that is losing their youth, y'all. They are all going through it. But do y'all see it? I be telling y'all, the shift is here and it's going to keep happening, y'all. Let's continue to get it. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys think about it. Let's continue to get it. Peace in.
I think we all know why Ellen is starting to appear to be a lot older in such a short amount of time. Let me hear you say it. Adrenochrome. Now that she done hightailed it out of America to save her ass, she no longer has supply of her adrenochrome. I bet she had that itching too, like, I need to find a kid. I need to find a kid. I didn't mean to laugh. That was horrible. Seriously, that's horrible. Remember, this is all alleged.
Pizzagate was totally made up.
Shut up.
It was an outrageous allegation.
Shut the fuck up.
That ended up hurting a number of people.
Who?
I can't believe you're even referencing it.
Look at her face, bro.
I find it quite sad, but also disturbing that people would believe some of what is put forth, like Pizzagate.
Shut the fuck up. Just admit that you motherfuckers were eating babies. You.
Oh my, I can't believe that this is the image that he has up here. If y'all know, allegedly, there's a video out there. And I might also have an ex that proclaims she saw this video, that somebody sent it to her on Facebook. But allegedly, there's a video out there of this scene right here playing out. Of Hillary Clinton, Anthony Weiner's wife, and a 13-year-old black girl, and Hillary and Anthony Weiner's wife removing her face, and Hillary wearing it on her own. And then there's some other things that happen too that I will not mention. That's crazy. Somebody, wow.
You motherfuckers were eating babies. You go read the files, it is so obvious that they had their own language in this shit. When she got asked about other words, I mean, her reaction was visceral. She was frustrated, flabbergasted. That doesn't seem like an innocent woman to me, allegedly. But what do you think?
Yeah, I know exactly what I think. Let's move on. I ain't gonna repeat myself.
Epstein suggested that if Trump felt cornered, he might bomb Iran to spark a crisis and boost his popularity. You guys need to understand he is psychotic and would not blink twice in encouraging an attack on us so he can leap to the country's defense mindset. If I go down, I'm taking everyone with. Cornering.
I don't understand about the idea of getting into a war with Iran being popular for any president. Maybe his approval ratings have gone up. I would assume that they have not. Americans don't want to be at war with Iran. It's very unpopular. 2018, when Epstein's writing this, it might have been different then, and maybe it would have been more popular. Epstein and these files, absolutely wild, and definitely lays credence to the idea that there was a blackmail operation, and it certainly gave a bunch of fuel to people who are like, we're doing all this because of Israel. It didn't help that at all.
Remember when Trump was on stage and he grabbed the Fiji water? Fiji is one of the biggest human trafficking areas on the planet.
What big profile people are in this pedophile ring?
Do you want names?
Sure.
Hillary Clinton.
You think Hillary Clinton's a pedophile?
Worse.
What's worse than a pedophile?
Human sacrifice, child sacrifice, newborn babies. There's something in their blood that apparently gives them some euphoric experience.
It's called adrenochrome. It acts as a drug, essentially.
Where do they get the babies from?
Haiti.
A lot of these babies are bred specifically for that purpose.
Give me 5 names of big names that are going down.
Obama.
James Comey.
The conspiracy theories surrounding Obama, Michelle is a man?
I'm just saying, there's a bulge.
You believe that Michelle Obama has a penis? Do you believe Michelle Obama is a man?
I tend to think she is.
What real evidence is there to support any of these claims?
What claims?
What claims? You just said Hillary Clinton eats babies and Michelle Obama pisses standing up. There is no bulge.
That appears to be one of those shows where they laugh at the theories, they laugh at the conspiracy theories, and they make it seem laughable, right? Because the stuff sounds outrageous. Everything that they stated, we all know of, we all have heard of, we all believe, at least if you're watching this channel, you probably do. But this sort of show brings back people being cuckoo for being conspiracy theorists.
Epstein went to a camp in Michigan called Interlochen, and a lot of famous people have gone. Josh Groban, Nora Jones, Chappell Roan, Felicity Huffman. So Epstein, in the 90s, he starts taking an interest in the camp again. His plane starts flying there in 93. He goes there with Maxwell in 94. But then he starts making donations so that there could be a cabin built in this camp called Epstein Lodge.
No.
And part of the deal was that every summer he could stay there for 2 weeks.
That is so bizarre.
Dang, you had the whole camp dang on giving him this pedo a freaking Epstein Lodge so that he can be out there and just, oh, hell no. Yo, this shit keep getting worse.
Chris Brown knew the truth about Harvey Levin of TMZ, and now everybody else is finding out. So Chris Brown called him the devil. This is crazy. Now we know that Harvey Levin has now been named as good friends with Jeffrey, going to the island, like on the list numerous times, like they're buddies. And you can see that in numerous emails. Chris Brown called it out, distancing himself and making it clear that everyone else should. And this is dating all the way back to 2013. People should have listened more. Now, we know, based on, if you remember in October what happened to Charlie, and the TMZ crowd caught cheering about something so horrible. And the TMZ group, here's what's interesting, they look for the bad things happening to celebrities. They look to try to create this scandal. I mean, we saw what happened with Kobe, if you don't remember. I think that was, 2019, 2020. And so TMZ definitely has a reputation for being unethical, bad people with no soul, and it looks like that all comes from the top. Chris Brown calling it early, distancing himself, and now you start seeing a lot of Hollywood doing the same. And there is like a boycott TMZ thing, like people on TikTok, Instagram, making it clear that they're literally blocking TMZ. What's your take on this? Do you think TMZ is good for America?
This is Edie Lutnick, Howard Lutnick's sister. And what do you know? She has direct ties to Ghislaine Maxwell. In 2012, after Jeffrey Epstein was convicted of sex crimes, Ghislaine Maxwell started Terra Mar, a nonprofit organization to help protect the high seas. What do you know? Good old Edie just happened to be a founding member and supporter of the organization. And this is years after Howard said that he had cut all ties with Jeffrey Epstein. And Edie and Howard are close. They're not some distant relatives. Edie Lutnick is a lawyer. She's also the co-founder and serves as the president of the Cantor Fitzgerald Relief Fund that was established shortly after 9/11 at Howard's request to support the families that passed from 9/11. And one of the craziest parts is that just like Howard Lutnick, she just happened to not be in the Twin Towers that day. Howard, his wife, asked him to pick up the kids from school, and in Edie's case, it happened because of a canceled appointment. This is one lucky family, and also one that seems to be entrenched in the Epstein-Ghislaine Maxwell circle. As always, I want to hear what you think about all of this down below.
The whole Facebook movie is a giant lie. It's a propaganda piece. That was a Pentagon program called LifeLog. LifeLog is a Pentagon program that wants to collect all your data for your whole life. What day did the government stop the LifeLog project.
Whoa. DARPA shut down the LifeLog project February 4th, 2004.
What day was Facebook registered as a business?
Oh my God. No way, bro.
What?
The exact same day. They don't even hide it, dude.
It was created by DARPA.
Yeah, they handed it to Mark Zuckerberg, and then the Vossel twins.
What about the other? Yeah.
That's all. And that's why they became the first Bitcoin millionaires, because they play ball.
Oh my God.
It's all theater, dude.
So what is the purpose of LifeLog?
To collect all your data for your whole entire life.
Now that's what you call a conspiracy theory right there. I forgot all about LifeLog. Oh my God. Yeah, hell, Facebook is essentially LifeLog on steroids. Because the app itself already is collecting so much data from you. But then you're posting about your actual life, and that's just gathering even more data from there. We've seen so many documentaries throughout the years of horrendous stuff that have happened to people because of their usage of Facebook, and how other people was able to track their whereabouts and stalk them. Like this some of this social media stuff, if used incorrectly, can cause some serious harm and damage to its users.
You know who that is right there? Take your time. That is a young Bill Gates. You know who that is right there? Take your time. That is a young Bill Gates, as in Bill Gates from Microsoft, who just showed up in the Epstein files again, and it is not good. But take a look at this guy right here, look closely, and tell me if you think, and be honest, tell me if you think this guy right here went on a lot of dates before he was rich and famous. Or do you think maybe this guy, again, right here, might have struggled with the opposite sex in his younger years, and do you think maybe that might have bothered him a little bit? Again, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to be honest. Now imagine if this guy right here suddenly had $50 billion. Think about that. $50 billion. And do you think he might maybe take advantage of things and indulge in things that were probably not available to him when he was a little bit younger? Allegedly, reportedly, of course.
Allegedly, reportedly, of course. That was perfect. That was perfect. I agree.
Certainly can imagine a world where that's possible, where Bill Gates is perhaps not such a good guy after all. And it sounds like his ex-wife, Melinda, feels the exact same way. It sounds like Melinda thinks that Jeffrey Epstein could be the reason why they got divorced.
Oh.
There was one report that said it was multiple affairs. Do you care to say anything about that?
You know, I think those are questions Bill needs to answer.
Okay. You know, it was also widely reported that Bill had a friendship or business or some kind of contact with Jeffrey Epstein, and that you were not, that was very upsetting to you. Did that play a role in the divorce at all in this process?
Yeah, as I said, it's not one thing, it was many things. But I did not like that he'd had meetings with Jeffrey Epstein, no. Mm-hmm. Any of the questions remaining about what Bill's relationship there was, those are for Bill to answer.
Okay.
But I made it very clear how I felt about him. Mm-hmm.
Well, isn't that just kind of interesting? Melinda Gates left Bill Gates, at least in part, because of his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted child predator, and because around his ex-wife, Bill Gates was apparently sleeping with other women, according to Melinda. Isn't that interesting that this same guy right here could do all of that? And this is just an observation, but it sounds like Melinda Gates thinks that Bill was kind of a dirtbag. Never saw that coming, did you? Because how could this guy ever possibly cheat on his wife?
Oh my God. Oh my God. That was beyond cringe. Yeah, he wasn't getting no play. No play. Ain't no way he was getting any play. That man had to buy the cat, man. That man had to force himself on the cat. Allegedly. Look, don't come after me, Bill. I mean, I'm just saying what everybody thinking, because wow. Wow. Yo! Shit. Yeah, I think he might have had to become a billionaire in order to attract the sort of women, because his wife, she wasn't bad looking. She wasn't bad looking at all. I feel like he had a standard for the type of woman he wanted, and he knew that he wasn't gonna get that unless he got that money right.
If I worked at the U.S. Bank Tower, I would find another job. Becoming a conspiracy theorist was not on my bingo card for 2026, but here we are. You guys remember the Corcoran Group at the U.S. Bank Tower? If I worked at the U.S. Bank Tower, I would find another job. Becoming a conspiracy theorist was not on my bingo card for 2026, but here we are. You guys remember the Corcoran Group, the real estate company that's all over the Epstein files? The same company where Erica Kirk allegedly started working the month after she met Charlie? The same people that got in trouble in 2009 for deleting files, and also is accusing the Epstein files of being the money launderer between all these different traffickers? Yeah, that group. Well, they're also in tight with Larry Silverstein, the man who leased out the World Trade Centers in the months leading up to 9/11. They apparently have a proud history of collaboration. Silverstein is a Jew. He also infamously took out terrorism insurance on the World Trade Centers, so he made a pretty payout and was infamously and miraculously not at the World Trade Centers as he was daily on September 11th, 2001. Larry is also very good friends with Bibi. And here's where it gets a little weirder. Corcoran Group was literally sold in September 2001, days before 9/11. Pam Leibman, the Jewish CEO and president of Corcoran since 2000, is the same individual who sent Jeffrey Epstein the NDA for his mansion in New York City. Well, the groups that bought the Corcoran Group from Barbara Corcoran in September 2001 were two groups, among them NRT, National Realty Trust. NRT is a joint venture between two companies, one of which, Apollo Management, is Leon Black's company. You know, Leon Black, Jeffrey Epstein's BFF, the man who sent between $158 and $170 million for his tax services, which the Senate has all but concluded were probably not legitimate services. The same man who has been accused by countless women of sexual misconduct at Epstein's properties. He's also a big Israel lover. And Leon and Larry, World Trade Center guy, have also worked together quite a bit. In fact, in 2020, Apollo Management, Leon's group, gave Larry Silverstein an almost $275 million loan for the mortgage at the U.S. Bank Tower in Los Angeles. I'm not saying don't work there, but I wouldn't work there if I were you. And it is no secret that this new war with Iran is not gaining the popularity and the recruits that they want. So don't be surprised if you see other events bigger than the bar shooting in Texas, where there are mass casualties allegedly caused by Iranian nationals.
Love when people get on the internet and piece together these little coincidences that are actually quite major. When you put 1 + 1 and 2 + 2 and 3, 4, 5 together and the math adds up, there's nothing left to say about it. It is what it is. Check this out. Proof that Erica lied straight to Charlie's face about how she met Tyler Bauer.
And then came back home and got a message from Tyler, from who I had met at the Trump rally, and he was saying, hey, you should come to Turning Point's office. We're having an office opening. We'd like to discuss with you about everything that we're doing with the faith component side of things.
I got a call from Miss Erica Kirk, Miss Arizona 2012. I just want to help, she said. So naturally, I put her right behind the president at that first rally. After that, we talked. It was obvious she was the perfect person for the job that Charlie and I had devised in one of our 24-hour planning sessions.
I decided to ask Erica in person during our sit down how she met Tyler. Her answer was that she met him at the 2015 rally because they were both standing behind Trump. And I immediately corrected her. I said, that's not possible. It's not possible because Tyler discussed knowing you already at the, if we're calling it funeral rally, do people, I don't even know if that's kind of what it was, like a funeral political rally. I'm sitting with her and she doesn't remember how she met him, but she said that she would look back through old messages because, like me, she never deletes any of her messages.
The woman that we all love to hate, Erica lying ass Kirk. Oh, I don't remember. I got to look back. I don't remember exactly how we met. But when asked the question, why did you give an answer? As if you knew that that was how you met him. That woman's so damn full of shit, I can smell it from here.
Holy crap on a crackerback, man. Guess who shows up in a picture with Tyler Robinson? You guys know who Tyler Robinson is, don't y'all? Of course you do. He's the guy the FBI claims assassinated Charlie Kirk. But why is Charlie Kirk's wife in the picture with Tyler Robinson? Try to figure that one out.
That looked like one of those guilty paparazzi photos. Like they were caught out in public, and that was her little lover boy, and she was trying to hide her face. But I thought she didn't know him. She was close enough to him in that image that they looked like they were acquainted somehow. You know what? Leave your thoughts, comments, and opinions down below, and I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one. See ya. And don't forget to click that link down below if you guys want to earn some extra cash while playing video games in your downtime.